In this clip, in order to really understand what's going on here with this deposition of a Unum claims manager, you need to understand a little bit of the background. This is deposition testimony from a case that took place as a result of Unum denying a long-term disability claim to a general surgeon. During this case, which was filed in Peoria, Illinois, we took the deposition in Worcester, Massachusetts of this claim manager. And one of the things we wanted to know was, did this claim manager really understand the occupational duties of a surgeon? And this depo was probably 2 or 3 hours, but we just cut out a few minutes of this deposition, which the type of testimony you're going to hear literally went on for 30, 40 minutes with the same kinds of questions. But we think within the 2 or 3 minutes that you're going to see it, you get an idea of what was happening. But not only listening to the substance of what this Unum employee is saying, you should also pay attention to her demeanor, because any witness that testifies, it's all about their credibility as a witness. And this particular employee, who was a witness for Unum at trial, and this video deposition that you're going to see was also played at trial, the jury had the opportunity as well to judge her demeanor. And I think they were able to make a determination as to whether or not they thought she was being candid with her opinions. I personally feel that some of her comments that she made here were somewhat shocking to me. However, everything that she says is her view. So let's take a look at this video, and when it's over, my partner and I are going to discuss our views on what took place at this trial and her testimony.
So is it a fair statement to say that you don't really have an understanding of what Dr. pre-disability surgical procedures were?
I would disagree. I would say we did have understanding. Dr. was a surgeon.
You would say that you have a good understanding of what his important duties were as a surgeon?
Yes.
If Dr. was to perform a removal of a colon surgery, do you know how long that would take him?
No, I don't.
Do you know how long he would have to stand to perform that procedure?
No, I don't.
Do you know if he would have to bend at his back in order to do that procedure?
I don't.
Are you familiar with the removal of a gallbladder procedure?
I have a general understanding.
Does that require cutting of the skin?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you know if that can be done sitting or standing?
I don't know.
Do you know how long that procedure would take?
No.
Do you know what a cholecystectomy is?
Once again, I have a general understanding.
What do you think it is?
Well, it's something related to the colonoscopy.
You think a cholecystectomy is related to a colonoscopy?
I thought so. Once again, I'm not a doctor.
Okay. Do you know how long a cholecystectomy takes to perform?
No, I don't.
Do you know if it can be done sitting or standing?
No, I don't.
Well, what is your understanding of what a cesarean delivery is?
It's surgical removal of a baby.
And so my question was, do you know whether or not he could do that procedure sitting or standing?
I'm assuming I would have to say that that could vary.
Caesar, after watching that video, I'm frustrated even again now, just like I was frustrated when I first took the deposition, when I watched it again in trial, when I've watched it countless times, and I still feel the frustration of our client who's fortunate to be getting paid. But I don't even know where to start in this video, between the mannerisms of her smirking and borderline laughing to the lack of knowledge about a simple thing like a gallbladder removal, not knowing whether or not you have to cut the skin. I'm glad that this client was able to have a jury be able to determine and judge the credibility of the person who made the decision. But I mean, does this claim rep have the resources to learn the types of requirements for example, how long a gallbladder removal is or things like that?
Gregory, she has not only the resources that the general public has by going to the internet, by talking to physicians, talking to doctors, specialists, experts in the field, to inquire and find out what these different types of surgeries are, what these conditions are, but she has the resources of a multi-billion-dollar company that's been doing this for years and years. But it's clear that by her deposition testimony, she didn't even reach out to those resources to get that understanding.
Right, and when she says, quote, "I am not a doctor," is that supposed to be some kind of defense, or does that make it okay that she's not a doctor so she doesn't need to understand his occupational duties?
I mean, certainly you can't blame her for only testifying to what she knew, and that she's not a doctor. But she's a claims manager. She's the fiduciary to the customer, the insured, who has their disability policy through this insurance company. So she has a duty. She has the duty to go out, and if she's not a physician, she's not qualified, then to reach out to the right specialists, to the right people, to find out what it is that these occupational duties, what the physical requirements of them are, how long can someone remain standing performing one of those surgical procedures? How long do they have to remain sitting to perform them? But she had no idea.
Yeah, I sometimes think, and I unfortunately see a pattern, that she almost intentionally doesn't want to know, what his duties are, so she can just rely on whatever doctor they may hire or whoever's advising them to say, there's no restrictions and limitations, therefore this doctor can go do anything in the world, which is a common theme that we see on almost every single claim denial.
Right. They'll just go back and say no restrictions and limitations based on the medical records that were submitted, and or based on what our peer reviewer what our peer reviewers' opinions are based on the review of the records. But I think they have another step they need to take. They do need to reach out to other resources because they have them.
Right, and I don't think it's fair to say, especially when you have our client, a doctor, who's saying, look, I'm okay 15, 20 minutes. It's 45 minutes in surgery. It's, God forbid, there's an emergency in surgery while I have a person sliced open and I got to be in the OR for an hour and a half. My back starts hurting me. I can't leave.
Right.
And I can't put a patient's life in jeopardy and go into the operating room. But yet you take a person like the claim manager makes the ultimate decision, who says, I have no idea what's going on in there, and I'm certifying you, claimant, it's okay, you go back into the OR. Well, you know what? God forbid there's malpractice, because this doctor, is in there doing something because his disability carrier is not paying him, and he's forcing himself to feed his family. There's going to be no claim against Unum who said, oh, you're okay to go ahead and work.
Right. Well, that's why I think the jurors got it, Greg, but clearly, unfortunately, she didn't.
Yeah, so, any claimant or any person who has a disability policy who's, watching this video and may have had a similar experience or is concerned about their own claim, we're available to discuss your claim with you. If you've had an experience that you want to share, feel free to place a comment on our website so that the public can be aware of conduct such as what took place in this case and hopefully can be avoided in the future.